Some people think I'm an alien. Not true.
People want to be more like you.
Really?
So...
You don't have a watch on.
No.
Ever?
I used to have a watch.
What happened?
My phone tells the time. I promised I wouldn't swear on this show, by the way.
Really?
Yes.
To who?
So it's my friend.
Tell that friend to go fuck himself. Who told you not to swear?
A friend.
That's not a good friend.
And the solution is in two parts. Part one, the sun. we have this handy fusion reactor in the sky called the sun. Okay? You don't have to do anything. It just works. Shows up every day and produces ridiculous amounts of power. The obvious problem with solar power is that the sun does not shine at night. So I think most people are aware of it.
The system is fully capable of carrying biological cargo, which is,
Go back to this plant, this massive plant that we have out in Fremont, California.
Today, yeah. I never expected that we'd have this plant.
But it's an amazing place.
Yeah. And the amazing thing is, like, it's kind of full, which is, I mean, when we got in there, we thought, like, when we first got that plant, it's one of the biggest plants in the world. I think it's sort of, like, by footprint, I mean, I think it's like maybe the third or fourth biggest manufacturer.
How many square feet?
It's 5.5 million square feet.
5.5 million.
Yeah.
So that's what, 100 and how many acres?
You mean under roof?
150 acres?
Yeah, exactly.
It's a General Motors building, just to give you perspective, General Motors building, which is where the Apple store is, that one block, that's 1 acre. This is 150 acres.
Yeah, it's crazy. You could go camping in there. Like, it takes you a long time to walk from one side to the other. We have bikes in the factory, so you can just get around.
So last thing, we always ask everybody a series of questions, and the crowd favorite is always, what would be your mediocre superpower? Now, this is absurd to ask you because Tony Stark is partially modeled after you.
Right.
So you actually are sort of have real. So we were going to ask you to
he doesn't
downgrade.
technically have a superpower, I guess, except like inventing technology or something.
Right. So we're sort of asking you to downgrade from that a bit. So an example of a mediocre superpower would be one of the best ones we've ever gotten is this guy who wished to temporarily detach his arm while spooning with a girl. Sometimes it's staying.
That's what he wants to do with a girl?
That's awesome.
Finally, you're obviously a very competitive person. You're competing with the likes of Jeff Bezos in...
Jeff who? All right, welcome everybody. Thanks for coming to this hole in the ground.
Hello, Mr. Musk. My name is Alex Perez. I really like your jacket today, and so it kind of got me thinking, has Tesla ever thought about going into the motorcycle business?
Yeah, I actually used to ride motorcycles when I was a kid, and I was like dirt biking for like 8 years or something, and then had a road bike until I was 17 and was almost killed by a truck. So we're not going to do motorcycles. I didn't ever expect to be involved in it because I thought it was the province of governments, and besides which it sort of seemed, at least 21, 22 years ago, that it was likely to occur because we went to the moon, and then of course there were people going to Mars, and we'd be establishing a base on the moon, and there'd been eventually a base on Mars, and that sort of seemed like the natural progression of things. And then amazingly it didn't happen. And I kept thinking, well, it's about to happen. And it just didn't happen. There's a Monty Python skit about this. Suddenly, nothing happened. Before you know it, nothing happened.
I do see a path to being able to offer tickets for someone to move to Mars. Also, they get a free return ticket if they don't like it.
Some people are aware of that, but probably most people aren't. And you hear all these rebuttals like, aren't there all these problems on Earth that we need to deal with, and shouldn't we focus on that? And the answer is yes. I mean, our primary focus should be problems on Earth, but I think that there should be some small amount that's given over to the establishment of a colony on Mars and making life multiplanetary. By small amount, I mean some number less than 1% of our resources. So, it's not as important as say, healthcare, but it's more important than, like, say, cosmetics. I mean, I'm in favor of cosmetics. I like them. They're great. But, you know, lipstick or colony on Mars, I don't
It's also a four-seater. Yeah. So it's a 2 + 2, 2 + 2. Okay, you can't put giant people in the rear seat, but you will put, okay, a giant person squashed or a small person.
I kind of got myself in trouble because we had the Model S and the X, and then just for fun we tried to trademark the Model E, and then Ford sued us, or said they were going to sue us, so we had to change it to the Model 3, so it's S3X, you know. Totally different. So I guess when I say that we're about to unveil the D and something else, then it's, I kind of dug my own grave on that front.
When was the last time you astonished yourself?
I was in China meeting with some very high-level people, and I ripped my pants.
If you could take one person to Mars, who would it be?
But we're not like have to populate the planet or
No,
anything.
no, you don't have to. It could be a
Someone extremely fertile. I should point out that Iron Man was only partially based on me because, you know, I've got 5 kids, and Iron Man didn't, you know, sort of swinging bachelor. But I guess it's kind of cool. And we've got an Iron Man statue that was donated to SpaceX by Jon Favreau, signed by the whole cast, including Scarlett Johansson and everything. It was kind of cool.
Everyone in this room is inspired by you. Who are you inspired by?
Well, Kanye West, obviously. It's not because of some epiphany that I had one day driving down the 405. That's how it gets translated somehow. I was talking about tunnels for years and years. For probably 5 years or 4 years at least, whenever I'd give a talk and people would ask me about what opportunities do you see in the world, I'd say tunnels. Can someone please build tunnels? So after 4 or 5 years of begging people to build tunnels, and still no tunnels, I was like, okay, I want to build a tunnel.
We saw the movie. We
Yeah.
saw what happened. He got back.
Yeah. So it was good. I actually enjoyed the movie.
Do you think he could have gotten back like that? Was that plausible?
Well, I thought there was some, you know, connection. It was like 80% scientifically correct. But they did connect a series of improbable events.
Such as?
Well, I mean, I don't think you can sort of just take off from Mars on an unguided rocket, really, and then prick your finger on the spacesuit and navigate to a spaceship. Right? Yeah. Not impossible, just extremely unlikely.
So the Sandra Bullock movie.
But if you're Matt Damon, maybe?
Maybe. You have some mad skills,
Yeah,
for
yeah.
sure. I don't think the moon is necessary, Steph, but I think if you've got a rocket and spacecraft capable of going to Mars, you might as well go to the moon along the way. It's like crossing the English Channel relative to going to Mars. You know, so it's like, you know, if you have these ships that can cross the Atlantic, would you cross the English Channel? Probably.
But you don't see it necessarily from a logistics perspective.
No, definitely not.
Is radiation on humans?
Pardon me?
Radiation on humans a concern?
Yeah, I mean, things that can mitigate the radiation effects, certainly. I mean, I think the radiation effects are generally way overblown. Because if we went to the moon, went like 2 weeks in deep space, Buzz Aldrin's still around.
Many other folks that went are also in the audience.
Yeah, great. I mean, so like obviously, it didn't cause they're still alive and they're.
And often I'll be told, but you could get more payload if you made it expendable. And so yes, you could also get more payload from an aircraft if you got rid of the landing gear and the flaps, and just parachute it out when you got to your destination. But that would be crazy, and you would sell 0 aircraft.
So reusability is absolutely fundamental. It's also intended to be able to service the space station. I know it looks a little big relative to the space station. But the shuttle also looked big.
So it'll work.
There's a lot of people, some of them citizen scientists, some of them they're just newbies when it comes to tracking things in space. They're going to try and track the Tesla and understand what's happening to it. You know, like that movie, Dude, Where's My Car? And other than the live webcam today, what is SpaceX going to do to interact with this community of Tesla trackers once the car leaves orbit? Do you have a plan, or are you just going to kind of wait and see what bubbles up on the internet and react to it?
We don't have a plan. No plan. The battery is going to last about 12 hours from launch, roughly. And after that, it's just going to be out there in deep space for maybe millions or billions of years, who knows. Yeah, maybe discovered by some future alien race, thinking, what the heck, what were these guys doing? Did they worship this car? Why do they have a little car in the car? That'll really confuse them.
The best SUV in the world. We want to do something. We kind of got carried away, actually, with the Model X. We was like, let's have practically every technology and whiz-bang thing we could possibly think of. The Model X is like, as a car, it's like a Fabergé egg meets a spaceship.